Good morning. It is time for Coffee Talk on a rainy Sunday morning. If you hear some thunder, then that is from the rain. And if I stop recording, that's from the lightning. But you won't know that because it's a recording and I can just start later. So I just wanted to explain that to you in case you didn't know. It is early, and I've got my Dirty Dozen mug today. No flowery mug. Hey, we've got some stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Intel hardware thing that's, I think, related to the Intel hardboard. I think that's interesting. We're going to talk about the 7th anniversary specials, what's going on. Pretty good deal, actually, overall. We're going to talk about the Progetto mission. We will talk about 1.01 common test in the patch notes, at least the initial patch notes of the next patch. Can you believe it? We're on to the next patch already. All the hubbub about 1.0, that's in the past. We're moving on. Global map is coming back for Clan Wars. I have to ask why. We'll talk about that really quickly. And then if I have anything else comes up along the way, we will talk about that. So grab your coffee. Hey, somebody told me they actually watch this on Monday morning, so there's a good idea for you. Probably easy when I get it out late, like at noon or whatever. That way I can help ruin your Monday morning as well. So, hey, let's get on with it on this rainy Sunday morning. Hey, before we get started, it's bragging time. See my 12244, check it out. I finally have a casemate tank with 3 marks. That's what Rental Week will do for you, in case you didn't know. If you have one of the rental premiums that you're pretty decent at and you think you were somewhere around 90% or even sometimes in the high 80s or mid 80s, go ahead and play a game in it and see what happens. You might find that you're grabbing a couple 3 marks along the way. I played this once, had a pretty good game, but I don't remember what its percentage was. It was in the low 90s, but it jumped right up to a 3 mark in one decent, not amazing game. I did the same thing with the STA2. That's another one apparently that's on rental right now, and I'm attempting to get my T34 and my 4503 both at about the 93.5 percentage point, although that's been a bit rougher. On both of those, I've been at 94.5 and above twice for each one, so that's 4 times. I needed a good battle, and man, I came out with stinkers. In fact, I had on each one of them a 0 damage game as I was trying to get that 3rd mark. That was unbelievable. All my fault. But anyway, check that out. It is a possibility if you have a premium that you like and are good at and was close to a 3 mark. You could probably pick up a bunch of 2 marks along the way as well. I found this pretty interesting. I talked about this last week a little bit with Intel and Wargaming teaming up. That there's a lot of money involved. It's 2 big corporations. One's massive, obviously. One's a big gaming corporation, let's put it that way. And when you do things like that, if you get any kind of bad press, it's not good, and it makes the one partner not very happy with you. This was clearly something that was going to go on for a while, because now what we have is not the leaderboard, but we've got this upgrade program, and you go through Newegg. So Newegg is involved, at least as far as hosting the discounts on their site. And these are things right down here off of Newegg. Oops, something went crazy here. Did it just redirect me? I don't know. There you go. So this is on Newegg right here, and these are some things that are, exclusive through that link to Newegg. I didn't look into it too much. I do buy stuff from Newegg on occasion. It's 20 bucks off on this combo and some other things like that. So I've seen better deals on Newegg, but you never know, depending on if you're looking for something like they have right there. But look, they've got all these different CPUs, actual gaming rigs set up, decent ones, maybe a little overpriced if you're good at building stuff. Laptops, stay away from laptops as far as I'm concerned for gaming, but if you've got to move around, then they're not a bad deal. Then some combos, and then shop for more details, which I think just takes you to Newegg. Anyway, the point of all that is, obviously, they have an ongoing relationship going on, and they had probably planned a few things down the road. And who knows if there's more? Maybe this was the only one, but we'll have to wait and see what shows up if there's any more with them. But that's the whole egg on the face from that last contest. And the update is we still haven't heard anything about who won the Alienware or who won the 250 CPUs. from Intel. So very interesting, actually. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it and see where it goes. That's like a lot of speculation and conspiracy theory stuff there. But the fact of the matter is, there were two Intel things with Wargaming and Intel, and the one which was made it out to be a big competition, we've not heard squat about who won it. So those are the facts. What the reasons are, I'll let you speculate, but there's my 2 cents. All right, the dog has come to see me here. This is the Progetto mission. We'll talk about that later. This one is on the events tab. But if you go over to the missions tab, we've got the Ace Tanker stuff going on. 2 sets of those. Those are standard. The 110E5 is on track. That's a good tank, actually, even with the nerfs to it fairly recently. Still a good tank and a good line, so not a bad on track. The only problem with that is everybody's trying to do the Progetto mission, and as long as you're tier 6 and above, you should be fine. But really the higher tiers, again, we'll get into that, are probably the better place to be. So you got a little bit of conflicting, what is your priority there. The other mission here is the happy birthday thing. Now you've got to do this, you've got to get 3 iron tokens here. I've completed this one already, but if you get the 6 iron tokens, which is completing Eyes on the Prize, I want to say 6 total times, which it has 3 times. It's a big pain. But anyway, the point is you'll get a bunch more of these camos right here. 7th anniversary camos going on. So I've only got 3 of the 6, but it looks like I've already done this. This was just play a battle, so you get that right off the bat, and you can get a bunch more if you do the 3 of 6 for Eyes on the Prize. There's Eyes on the Prize 1 and Eyes on the Prize 2. You can take a look at that on their website on what it gets you. But that's kind of just playing because it's top 10 by the flying parameter. And by the way, this looks like there's no win requirement, so I do not see that on there. That seems to be the way they're going. That at least is something that they've listened to the players on. So I do appreciate that, Wargaming. I think it's not perfect because you can get some of that YOLO stuff going on. But what they did is they made it, hey, you know what, tier 6 and higher, I think that's reasonable, and top 10 experience, win or lose. And that will minimize some of the YOLO stuff. It's a little harder to YOLO at tier 6 and automatically be at the top. But that's getting a little off track from what we're talking about here, which is just the missions. A little bit of my philosophy on it. All right, let's move on. I've got my new Castillo de San Marcos hat, which is a castle over in Jacksonville, not Jacksonville, St. Augustine in Florida. But it's not really a castle, it's more like a shed. For my European friends, they would think it was the outhouse. But in America, it's a castle, dang it. Actually, it's kind of cool. But anyway, I digress. Here are the specials that are going on. This is pretty good. ×5 is nice, always nice. It's unfortunate that doesn't work for the Progetto missions because it's base XP, which I agree with. But the problem is if you do the ×5s, then you probably also capture people's premium accounts, and then you get the whole pay-to-win thing, pay-to-get a tank thing. So base experience I think is good because that's the same for everybody regardless of whether they are using a premium account or a regular account. But anyway, for the rest of your upgrades and grinding, ×5 is nice. So there are discounts on vehicles. You can see these 30%. There's a 30% gold on tier 6 to 7. So take a look at those, because if there's a 6 or 7 that you wanted on the tech tree, it's 30% off for gold. And some people are still kind of flush with gold from that Christmas experience. There might be a cool little tank. They have switched them around a little bit. I know, for example, the 3485M is on there, and I think that's well worth grabbing for a nice little tier 6 tank, even though tier 6 is a smaller dumpster fire right now than tier 8, but still a dumpster fire. And even 15% on standard vehicles from 8 to 10. That's actually pretty nice. Pretty nice. Tier 10 vehicles don't often get a discount, so if you've got one you've been waiting to buy, I think now is the time to pull the trigger on that. I always talk about garage slots. As you start to play the game more, you become a little bit more of a collector, or you want a few more tanks in your garage. Anytime they're on sale, I think that's a great deal. I usually grab a couple when they're half price like that. So it goes from 300 gold to 150. And if you've got 5 or 6 extra slots around, makes it easier when you buy tanks and move them around as well. If you've got a little bit of room on your cap right there, and you don't have to decide what to sell just to buy a new tank if you're going up a tech tree line. And for me, since I just stopped selling tanks and started collecting all the ones I grab slots every time I can. I have a lot of slots. Equipment's on sale. That's always a good deal. You've been waiting to equip those tanks. And then consumables, camouflage, and emblems and inscriptions. I don't buy any of the emblems and inscriptions. I suppose I bought a couple, but not very many. Still, they're 50% off now. And of course, a camouflage deal is always welcome. I talked about the missions. Here they are. You log in, you get this. Oh, sorry, log in, you get this. Eyes on the Prize 1 gives you these things, and then if you get to 2, you get a bunch of extra stuff as well. So quite a bit of camo actually being thrown out, which is pretty cool. If you're doing this on the at the mid run, you know, trying to be as thrifty as possible, if you can knock out some of those and grab some extra camo, and then you can be the whole camo guy who only puts your camo on your hull, because then you can spread out the bonus to as many tanks as possible. If you're doing this on a shoestring budget, then that's the way to do it. Alright, so what's my progress on the Progetto mission? I am on number 4, phase 4, stage. Stage is called stage 4. So on 1, I had to do 5,000. I've been primarily going after the experience requirement. I needed a high caliber award 1 time at tier 10. Most of, I would say, the alternate ones where you have to do something other than get experience. If you're a tier 10 player, I think that's probably the way to go. I don't know how tier 10 is shaking out. There was a lot of projections that it would be bad at tier 10 because everybody would try to be doing the same thing. I think that when you get to the bounce missions, that might be true. A bunch of type 5s and MAUs and E100s and things in there, trying to bounce 4,000 damage, which isn't really that easy. So it could be a problem. But if you just go pure experience, that's good as well. Remember that you can do both at the same time. It's whichever one trips first. But all of the alternates require tier 10. So if you're just going to roll tier 7, 8, 9, maybe down to 6, then you're a pure experience guy. You're not going to trip it with these extra things right here. I think 6 is a little low. I think 7 is okay, and this is because of the base experience required to do it. You'll just take more games at tier 6, and I wouldn't maybe do too many 7s. Maybe tier 9, if you're not a tier 10 guy, is the sweet spot on that one, at which point you'll only ever see 3 tier 10s in a battle. That's not true. You'll get a 5-10. You may see 5 tier 10s in a battle if you get that. So that is the ins and outs. I am here, so I have already collected the large first aid. I'm sorry, we're over here. Hello. So I'm looking to collect my 1 day of premium and some equipment right there. I'm at 1,000 out of the 30. So that's a pretty big jump. It went from 15 and jumped up to 30. And then goes to 35, to 35 again, to 40. So that was the big jump from from stage 3 to 4 was 15,000 experience jump. This is where the grind gets real. Also, I've got a 30% discount. So each one of these that you finish is a 10% discount, obviously until you get to 100% and get it free, which may make buying it a little bit more worth it to you. So I'm going to play this one by ear. If I get up to maybe 7 or so, I might actually drop a little coin just to pick up the Progetto, even though I have a bit of a moratorium on buying premiums from this company. You know, whatever, if it becomes a good enough deal, then that's fine. At 50 or 60 or whatever the cost of this normally is going to be, that's just not, that's not for me. I'm not going to do that. There's not much else to say. Progetto challenge. Let me know how you guys are doing and whether you decided to do it or not down in the comments. Just as a side note, I just noticed this. Why is there a skull attached to the side of the... What the heck? What is that? Wargaming. And another thing, I almost forgot. My average experience yesterday going after this was 886, which is slightly lower than my last about year, which is a 906 average base experience. So at 886, that's pretty good. Your results may vary depending on how you do in the game. But I think an 800 to 850 is not unreasonable when you're doing your math on how many battles it will take to get this thing done. Just wanted to throw that out there for the numbers, guys. Clan Wars is back. I don't do it for a lot of reasons. I just can't really justify taking the time. And I also don't like being beholden to people scheduling me for gaming sessions. That's a personal problem. Some people like to do it, and that's fine. It is a cool in-game kind of content thing where you get a clan together and you try to take over the world. So I get it as far as all that goes. Lots of rules for how it works. I'm assuming there's still gold involved because when I went down to look at the prizes, I was a little bit surprised that it's a medal, some camo, and a participation emblem. That's it. I think this is all about the gold. Although, interestingly, in the rules here, it doesn't mention, as far as I could find, what the gold was, although I believe it does vary by province. So interesting as far as that goes. But it started on the 10th. Probably if you're in a clan that's doing it, you are already aware of all this, and it goes to May 15th. If you're looking to get in on some of that action, then you need to look for one of the clans that's playing it. Mine happens to Cartel, I believe. I don't do it myself. There's plenty of others that do better on it. So just check it out if that's what you're interested in. Clan Wars is back. A quick update on the tanks that are coming. Remember the 2 tanks, the one that the T10 went to, and I think the 430 version 2 went to? Yeah, I believe it was the 430 version 2. Well, here they are. If you want to take a look at it, 2 new Russian tanks straight from Super Test. Looks to be right now the Object 277 and the K91. So there they are, pictures of them, the rear turreted on those bad boys, it looks like. So kind of interesting. Hopefully, now it's not showing for for 1.01, which we'll talk about in a moment, so I don't think they're coming out that soon, but at least there's some models floating around on Super Test, so that's a step in the right direction there. Do we need another tier 10 Russian medium with a massive turret? And I don't know. That's a different subject. Last but not least, it looks like Common Test 1.0.1 is out. And it's got some interesting things going on. Number one is there's a new mode. Here we go. Save us from Wargaming's new modes for the love of everything. Okay, name the new modes from Wargaming, World of Tanks, that have worked. Are there any? You might consider Grand Battles a new mode. Okay, but you get into it randomly from random battles. Have they made some fun new modes? Sure, I think people would say 8-bit, even racing and soccer. Would you want to build games around that or leave them in? I don't know. I almost say why not on those. It's interesting. I mean, you might still have people playing 8-bit. They may specialize in 8-bit or soccer and never touch the rest of the game. But if they were going to leave anyway because the rest of the game was boring, why would you not leave those things in? I mean, how interesting would that be actually if you had all those kind of good little game modes and you left them in your game? I don't know. Someone in marketing or development probably has a beef with that. Maybe something about diluting the player base. But I have to really ask, would it really be all that bad if they did that? I don't know. Leave your comments down below. That being said, 1.0.1, hey, 1.0 was the big deal, right? And now we're on to the next. You can read about frontline mode. There's also a video. Currently, I'm looking at the daily bounce, I think, in here. And I may have actually said that wrong. Is this Harkonnen's blog? I'm going to scroll. Yes. All right. So this is actually not... Yes, it is the daily bounce. All right. I'm glad we got that sorted out. Holy cow. That is professionalism in broadcast journalism right there. I'm not even going to delete this and start over. We're going to act like this is live right now. All right, frontline mode. Enough of that mess. All the details on what happens, base capturing, the defense system. Seems complicated, doesn't it? Overtime, I don't, okay. Zone capturing, pillboxes, which are objectives. Respawn. All right, this is where you lost me, fellas. And you knew this was coming, right? Because for a long time, they've been sort of inching the game kind of towards the more hectic first-person shooter ideas. Am I saying we're there or it's ruined? No, that's not the point. But these little mechanics like hit point recoup and respawn and crap like that, that for me just doesn't belong in World of Tanks. Here it is. Repair zones. Here it is. Hit point recoup. I mean, next thing you know, we're going to have repair vehicles running around, and they get close to you, they repair you, and all. I don't know. Anyway, maybe it's awesome. I am willing to say that until I play it, I can't say it's not awesome. But I can tell you that the game mechanics they're mentioning are not what I want to see. Personally, for me, what I would want to see in World of Tanks. It doesn't seem like a good direction. It also seems like a waste of resources when you have a lot of issues in your game that you haven't touched. Anywho, this was weird. Suspicious message alert. If you receive a message from a person not on your friends list and not a member of your clan, a special notification will appear reminding you of potential issues you might face when you open messages from strangers. What? Okay, hold on a minute. I assume they're talking about the in-game messaging system, right? So are they telling me that I can get a virus from opening up? I don't think that's what they're saying. Okay, so what other suspicious messages would I not... Like, I get the little clicking thing going on. The little blinker is happening down at the bottom left of my screen. I got a message from somebody. If I click on it and they're not in my clan or my friends list, I'm going to get a message that says, warning, you might not want to... They might hurt your feelings. What's this? What? This could be a gold spammer? This could... Somebody could possibly be mean to you. So beware. Beware. So special notification reminding you of potential... What do you mean potential issues? What issues are... You have got to be kidding me. I may be missing something here. It's very possible. Fix me if you think I'm missing something here. I do not understand this. What the point of that is. All right. Here's a big deal. Gold will no longer be... Sorry. Premium ammo will no longer be purchasable by gold, because I know that all of you just have your credit card hooked up to Wargaming and you buy your premium shells with gold. They always talk about numbers. I've said this multiple times. What are the numbers on people buying shells with gold? I am certain it happens. And there are probably some really big fish out there that play this game and could give two shits. I bet they don't play it a whole bunch like I would sit down and play for hours. But if they want to sit down for an hour and play, they're not bothered by splashing out gold. I don't even care about that kind of player. I just don't think it's a big deal. Back in the day when a lot of players were flush with gold and gold rounds were paid only by gold, that was a long time ago, paid for only by gold, it was something of an issue because you get these big clan war players would have tens of thousands of gold and they'd be able to zap out the gold rounds and no one else could do that. That was a close to pay-to-win situation. They rectified that by having gold rounds paid by silver, which we've had for quite a long time now. And now they're going to say, all right, you can't buy it with gold. Now, this is a non-issue as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand why it's a big deal. And it's a monetization question for them. And ultimately, I don't care. I don't think it really affects the game too much. But if they think that... My concern is they think that that is part of fixing the gold round issue, or the premium round issue, if you want to start calling it that at this point. Man, I'm not sure what really the point of that is. If you've got an idea, let me know. I'd be curious if anyone has any ideas on that. I don't think they're making a lot of money off of gold being sold for people to shoot gold rounds. Clearly not if they're willing to change the rules, so it's probably not a big deal for them monetization-wise. What they think it might do for gameplay, I don't know. And maybe it's just a small blip on the radar, like this is not a big deal, we're just going to do this. But kind of everything they do is for a reason, even if it's a bad one. And I'm kind of curious what the thinking was there. Like I said, I'm afraid that it's, hey, we're fixing the gold round issue. They're no longer available for gold. Fantastic, dude. That does nothing. That's not even the issue, at least from a player standpoint. All right, some stuff there. Hey, check it out. We're getting Province back. They have had a hard thing for Province for at least a year, maybe two, wanting to bring Province back. We're bringing Province back. Here comes Province. Probably one of the single most cancerous maps they ever made. And then they knocked it down to tier, what, 1 to 3 or something? Because it's just a big shooting gallery across a big hill at each other. Raise your hand if you think that wargaming, based on what they've done with their maps lately, has made Province any better. We'll see how it happens with that. Holy cow. This was really interesting. Move to the respawn zones of both teams further from the center of the glacier map. Respawn zones? I think what they mean are the spawn zones. Unless they're talking about glacier map when used with frontline, which I don't think so. There are specific respawn points for particular vehicle types. Oh, great. So we're going to get that. You know what? So they're going to spawn some guys in the pit. Is that what the plan is? You know, glacier with the big pit in the middle, the big killing zone, the frozen carrier. God, that map is terrible. Absolute trash. They could take it out tomorrow and nobody would care. Nobody would care. It's awful. All right. Some issues that they fixed, and it gets us down to, improved dynamic dirtying of vehicles. And I am so glad that my vehicle will dynamically dirty better, because I was really thinking that, some of those dust flakes and snowflakes were really kind of in the wrong spot. I think that aerodynamically, maybe some of those would not collect in those certain spots, but in other spots they would collect. So I'm glad that they've got that. Hopefully they did some wind tunnel tests, some virtual wind tunnel tests at 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers, however fast that each tank moves, so that they get that particle distribution exactly correct on each one of those vehicles. Because I'm telling you, for gameplay, that's critical. Have I belated that, or belated? Have I berated that one enough? Sometimes when I use my big words, I use the wrong word, but I love it. All right. And they saved the best for last, I think. They are going to buff. They're going to buff the Clan Wars tanks. I don't know why. When they buff and debuff, or when they are being told that their tanks are overpowered, let's talk about the 268v4 for just a moment. When you bring that up and you see all the Q&A sessions, what is the first thing if someone says, hey, this tank is overpowered and you need to fix it, what's the first defense they have? Just think about it for a moment, because I know you know what it is. I've talked about it multiple times. Exactly right. The first defense is the numbers don't show that. Or we're watching the numbers, and when the numbers show the right thing, then we'll change it. Well, I have to ask you, what freaking numbers are they then? Because the 7201, my friends, here she is in all her glory, 57% win rate. 7201K, 57 recent win rate, 59 player win rate recent. M60 getting a buff. 61%. 58, 61%. Now, this is the problem with numbers and simply going off numbers like that. And what I'm going to say, they need to learn it, but I know they know it. They're not stupid people. So what it comes down to is the statements that they make are only self-serving, and the only reason they say those things are to throw people off the scent. Because the fact of the matter is that those tanks are played by very good players. And while in the hands of a bad player, they may be slightly underpowered, it doesn't matter, because their win percentages are so high. And clearly they're good enough for the good players who own them. And even some of the mediocre players who have managed to get them to do just fine. Those percentages, win rates, are so much higher than anything else in its class that actually, from the numbers, calls for a nerf. So what numbers are you looking at? You're going to tell me that we're not going to nerf the 268 version 4 because the numbers don't show it, except the numbers show the exact same damn thing. It's overperforming. So if in the case of the 268 version 4, your overperforming numbers don't show enough, but then you come over here and you tell me that we've been watching the numbers on the 7201, another overperforming tank, and it deserves a buff, what is going on? What is going on? I don't know. Nobody knows. It makes no sense. No sense that you're going to buff. Now, in a couple cases, there were some decreases on some of these things. Like change durability from 2000 to 1900, but the rest of it was a buff on the T95 E6. You know, you can look through the details on it. The 121B got an engine buff from 580 to 700 horsepower because we need a faster 121B in the hands of good players. Dispersion decreased by 17%. That is not insignificant. Reload time from 10 to 8.7. Second and a half faster reload time. View range bumped up to 20 more meters. Penetration from 330. I mean, just look at this. It's ridiculous. Is buffing some of these clan reward tanks going to cause chaos in the queues and have people, you know, rage around, destroying games and winning at will? Well, when the few players who own these show up in a game, probably yes, because they now have a better tank. So your tank that was already winning nearly 60 or at 60% of the time has just been buffed. And the good players who own a now buffed better Clan Wars tank, who are already dominating at 59 to 60%, which is an outrageous win rate overall for any kind of tank. What are you doing? Why? What is the possible justification for that? Other than, I hate to do conspiracy stuff. The only thing that comes to my mind is somehow somehow good players have this voice at Wargaming that convinced somebody somewhere that these tanks on paper, which had fairly mediocre stats, needed a buff. And someone believed them. That's the only possible explanation, other than just ridiculousness. That I suppose I said only possible. There is one other, just complete incompetence and inability to balance. Evidence shows that that's probably a player. Man, that one just blew my mind. I heard about it. I sort of ignored it for a long time, and I try not to speculate too much. This is super test, so who knows what's going to happen. Not super test, sorry, common test, not super test. Things can change. But based on past practices, I doubt there's going to be much, because these are across the board for multiple tier 10 clan rewards prizes. Plus the Italian tanks are coming, so I didn't mention that, but the tier 1 through 10 Italian tanks will be here on 1.0.1. Wow, guys, I don't get it. I really don't. Well, that is pretty much it for Coffee Talk on a rainy Sunday morning. I'm about at the bottom of my coffee with my Dirty Dozen mug. We talked about quite a lot of stuff. I'll keep an eye on the Intel thing. I just think that's interesting. I don't think I will ever get the answer on any of those questions that I asked about that, and ultimately maybe it doesn't really matter, but from a watching standpoint on how companies operate in the gaming industry, I thought it was interesting. The 7th anniversary, it's over tomorrow, so if you want any of those bonuses, you better jump on them. Or discounts, I guess, not necessarily bonuses. Progetto is ongoing. Let me know how you're doing down there. Anybody really grinding towards it? This one I took a knee on, so I'm just going to play, and if I get close, I might buy it. But we'll see. Common test, some interesting things coming up in the common test. Get into that Clan Wars stuff if you aren't already. If you're a Clan Wars guy, you're already going, so you already know that. And that's pretty much it. I got nothing else. I am going to play a little bit of tanks, and then is it bad if I hope that it keeps raining and I don't have to go do my yard work? Yeah, it's probably bad, but that may end up what happens. Let's see you guys later.